I've done most of the things that
Hi, this is Kelly Fitzpatrick, the opinion editor of the Daily Californian. On Friday, April 3rd, the Daily Cal held its annual ASUC Elections Forum, where the candidates for all 5 executive offices spoke about their plans for next year and their qualifications for the different executive positions.
We're going to discuss the amendments to the ASUC Constitution first, and then Student Advocate, Executive Vice President, Academic Affairs Vice President, External Affairs, and President lastly. So for the amendments, we're going to have a pro speaker, ASUC Senator Tara Rafi. Tara, can you come up here? And for the con side, Justin Ozdemir, can you also come up to the front?
So I'll get started right away. There are 6 propositions to make amendments this year. I'll just go through them one by one and tell you why they're really important to vote for. First is a proposition to change the number of signatures required to instigate a recall election from the current 1,000 to 25% of the number of voters in the previous election. This is necessary for 2 reasons. One, because the ASUC, the student body of the University of California, Berkeley, has grown largely since this was first written, and B, because the use of the internet to disseminate information and petitions has allowed this process to move at a much faster pace. We want to raise this number of required signatures to make sure that if such a recall election is going to happen, that there's enough support from students to make this a worthwhile use of our money. The recall election this year costs around $20,000, and that's a use of student fees that the ASUC Senate has no control over. So it's mandated once these signatures have been gathered. So we basically just want to make sure that there are enough students in support of this if this money is going to be spent. Secondly is to change the specificity requirement for petitions to make sure that it is required for the petition signature gatherers to have specific reasons why the senator needs to be recalled. Thirdly, there needs to be at least 10% of the student body to sign a petition to have a constitutional amendment or proposition added to the ballot. Number 4 and number 5 are typos that were in the Constitution, and number 6 is to give flexibility to the Elections Council as to where they should put polling locations. This is so that we don't have to do future constitutional amendments and go through this whole process, and they can cater the needs of gathering votes to how the university changes in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Next, we'll have Justin Ozdemir speaking on the con side.
All right. So, unfortunately, I'm actually in favor of this amendment, but I'll just give you some arguments why you might not want to vote for it. Is there really no one here who actually doesn't? All right. So, the first 6 of these. Well, I'm not going to give you any arguments against the typo correction ones. Besides, maybe leave them there as a reminder of how much we should try not to suck in the future. As far as number of signatures for recalls or for initiatives, well, I just want to point out that the number of signatures being asked for an initiative is typically much larger than the number of people who end up voting for an initiative. Or it was last time I looked at the amendment, but I honestly don't know if it looks any different now. So the standards being placed for an initiative essentially mean that there will never be any more initiatives and there will be any constitutional amendments. This isn't actually different from the current procedure where there are never any initiatives or constitutional amendments passed through the initiative process. At heart, when you're asking how many signatures should be required for a recall, it's very simple. If you feel that too many people, it's too easy right now to put a recall in the ballot, then yeah, you probably want to make the number of signatures higher. If you think it's too hard or just right, then leave it. Anytime we make it harder to put a proposition on the ballot, we take away some aspect of the student voice, and it's important because this ability of the students to sort of go beyond and work around the Senate is key. Of course, we also have to consider the cost of having a low threshold. I honestly can't give you any good explanation for why you should pick one over the other besides your own preferences. Finally, the specificity requirement. It seems that the purpose of this amendment is to put the decision of whether a petition is specific enough in the hands of some kind of judging body, such as the Judicial Council. I think that it's very important that we keep the decision of what is and is not appropriate for a recall petition in the hands of the students.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you to our speakers for the amendments.